Yeah, Friday! Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you may be listening. Thanks for making me part of your day. This is episode 237 of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast. Before we get started today, I do have some announcements to make. Right now, still going on today. If you are thinking about joining Weight Watchers because you want to lose a little bit of weight, now's a better time. There's not a better time than now to do so. There is a 60% off discount going on right now. The link for that discount is in the description of this podcast. The one catch is, in order to get that 60% discount, you have to commit to 10 months, right? So, but who really doesn't want to do that? So many people out there quit on themselves way before they give themselves a chance to succeed. It takes time to undo. Nobody thinks about what you've done over the past God knows how many years to put yourself in the position to watch this show, right? You didn't think it. You just did whatever you wanted to do for however many years, and now you want to undo it all yesterday, right? So 10 months is a great way to commit to yourself and say, listen, I'm just going to change my habits for the next 10 months, and I'm not going to really focus on results until I get to the end of the 10 month. When you get to that end of that 10 month, you can decide from there, was the last 10 months worth my work? Because you know what? How many years did you invest getting this problem? And what's that compared to 10 months, right? So if you take your starting point and 10 months later you take the end of the 10-month point, I can guarantee you, if you really use that time to change your life habits, you will create results you never expected. And not only that, you're going to be plenty confident to keep going beyond the 10 months. Another thing I want to tell you guys about, that if you guys do join and you're looking for a workshop to call your own, you're looking for a place where you can hang out and be with like-minded people, Coach Sophie F's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time workshop on Saturday mornings is one of the greatest of them all. And it's where you'll find me every Saturday morning. I'm never anywhere else. Coach Sophie F, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Another brief announcement, and then we'll get started. If you don't see my posts on Connect is like WW's social media app kind of thing. I post walk videos. Sometimes they won't go through, and I don't really understand why, but from now on, if you don't see it go through there, and it's guaranteed, Saturday and Sunday, I make my walk videos on those days, and if you don't see them, it's because they're not going through, and you can check TikTok. You can check YouTube. You can check Facebook. If you want to look me up on Facebook, look everywhere. All my social medias at Ranting Weight Watcher. If you search for at Ranting Weight Watcher, you will basically find me. So TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Okay? But the walk videos, Instagram doesn't allow videos that long, so you're going to find them on TikTok, you're going to find them on Facebook, and you're going to find them on YouTube if you can't find them on Connect. Okay? And a lot of times I'll try to post a picture because for whatever reason a picture goes through but not the video, and I'll put the link to the YouTube in the comments. So keep an eye out. If you're not seeing my posts, chances are it just didn't go through, and look for me in those other places if you want to see the walk videos on top of this podcast here. Now, enough talk about that stuff. Let's get into this!
Journey updates.
All right, I am down this week. The scale was good to me. 4 pounds down. That's a total weight is 223.6 pounds. Pounds remaining to get to my goal weight to lose 200 pounds is 28 pounds. My stats for working out are from June 8th to June 14th. I have a total steps in that time frame of 59,261. That's an average steps per day of 8,466 steps per day. Total miles walk is 26.25 miles. Average miles per day is 3.75 miles per day. Those numbers absolutely suck. And I've had to really, really deal with it, right? Because I did something to my calf. Not sure what I did, but I found a little trick here, doing some stretches, and it's getting better, right? And so I just had to really take some time off, and all of the numbers are down because I thought that rest was what was needed. But it turns out maybe it's just the stretch at the end of the walk is what was needed, because that's what I've been doing. I come home from my walk, and I do this one stretch that I kind of learned a long time ago when I worked for a physical therapy office. So I'm just kind of just reintroducing that, and it was pretty instant when I did that stretch, and I was doing it for a number of times, each time for 30 seconds. And so when I did that, the pain was alleviated. And to this point, at this point right now, I'm not taking any pain medication for my calves at all, right? Or my calf. It's only my right leg that I'm having this problem. I have made it through phase 1. So yesterday was the 8th week of my 1 day a week water only fast. It was my 8th week. Next week, we're going for a 48-hour, 2 days a week water only fast, right? In a row. So 48-hour fast, water only. We're going to try that. I'm trying to get to 3, right? And most of you already know this, but the fasting goal has to do with achieving autophagy. And just briefly, autophagy is the body's method of regenerating new cells by recycling the ones that are bad and no good, right? But the only way you can get to that state where your body is in this cellular repair is to have a 3-day water only fast. Actually, it's in the 2-day mark that you get there, right? So from 24 to 48 hours is where you really get there. I haven't even achieved that by only doing, actually, I've been doing 36 hours over the past 8 weeks. So I've been spending a little time in autophagy based on what the experts say, but not as much as could be beneficial, right? And it is said that if you can make it to 72 hours, it is a complete immune system reset. Now, I'm all about taking care of the immune system. I literally have done so many things to take care of my immune system. I have not had a normal cold since 2021. Okay? I haven't had a normal seasonal cold, nothing, since 2021. And I can't ignore the fact of the few steps that I made. Number 1, with nutrition. When I changed my nutrition, a lot of things change. When I eliminate the processed food, a lot of things change. And when I started taking the supplements to make sure I take care of my immune system with those supplements, I can't say that didn't help. And now with fasting, all of those things together, I'm really confident is going to make something great happen for my immune system. And that's really what the goal of all the fasting was. It's never about weight loss. I know a bunch of people do the intermittent fasting thing for calorie restriction. That's never what it was about for me. It's always going to be about, it's almost like a muscle, working out the muscle of fasting so that I could, if I ever need to rely on it to help my immune system, it's going to be something that's a normal part of my life, and I'll be able to do it. Anyway, I want to talk today about pride, okay? And we're going to talk about how pride affects the journey overall, okay? A lot of us start our journey with a prideful beginning, and we don't even realize it. Right? We come with an attitude of we want all of the reward for a minimal amount of work. We want it taken care of, nip it in the bud, cut it out, get it done yesterday. It's a terrible attitude to have, considering you just blew how many years putting yourself in the situation, and you didn't care about any of those years, right? And now you need it all fixed yesterday, right? That's one way you could really have pride affect your journey, especially at the beginning of the journey. A lot of people are very conscious of what they're not willing to do. For instance, they will tell the world they're willing to do anything to lose weight, as long as it doesn't make them too uncomfortable, right? So that's what their actions tell you. Their words say, I'm willing to do anything, right? But their actions say, I'll do anything that doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. It is a unconscious method, right? If you really think of this logically, because none of the thought process is logical, but if you look at it logically, if you were able to do these things on your own, you wouldn't need a membership to anything. You wouldn't need to look up a plan and all these things and what's safe to eat. You wouldn't need to know any of these things if you could do any of this on your own. If you could do anything without the rules that are put in place, without the foundation that was placed to guide you to what you want. Instead, you just tell the world, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to lose 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 60 pounds, whatever the number is. You make bold declarations to anybody who will listen to you. And your words say grand things, but your actions say something different. And I'm not excluding myself from this by any means. Everybody's journey generally starts the same. As a matter of fact, many of the things I talk about, I went through. I don't ever talk to you guys about stuff and tell you to do things or whatever about stuff I didn't do myself, right? It has to be brought into the forefront. I have to be able to say, this is me, right? Because how do you listen to what I have to say if I just act like I never did it? If I pretend it doesn't exist? How? What good is it? Everything I've gone through in the last 6 years are my testimony. And if you really want to essentially become who you were always supposed to become, you can use my testimony to get there. That's why you're listening. This entire show is about what I've done, what I've attempted to do, what I failed at, what I have not failed at, right? What I worked so hard to do. And I try to bring attention to the behaviors that need to change. Because all of this is not about weight loss. Because there's a difference between becoming healthy and losing weight. And so many people never actually get this. They never get it. They never get that there's a difference between healthy and losing weight. You know, it's sad because now even reputable companies have to change their way of doing things because a company exists to make a profit, right? And if let's be honest here, if WW started telling the world you need to stop eating sweets, how long would you stay a member? That's what I'm talking about when I say I'm willing to do a lot of things, just not that. That's too uncomfortable. I can't do that. Right? If these corporations, global corporations, ever said, listen, eat whole foods, stop eating sugar, and get out and exercise. If they really hammered down the fundamentals, and said, stop the nonsense, get rid of the ingredients in your life, and get it down to whole foods, and forget sugar, because sugar is literally at the core of every illness is sugar. At the core. Many people don't want you to know this. At the core of every single illness is sugar. They want you to believe the people that make money off of you being unhealthy want you to believe that when I say these things, I'm crazy. They want you to think that, oh, I just don't trust the medical world. Everybody is making money off of your illness. That's what I'm saying to you. And if you really pay attention and you just start doing the opposite of what everybody's telling you to do, all of a sudden you find real success. And the kind of success that doesn't require a doctor's office. But if a corporation told you what you really needed to do, they would essentially fold, because no one would stay long enough to actually pull that off. They'd all say, no, hell no, I'm not doing that. That's crazy. Even though it's as if they're trying to hold on to their old life and take it into their new life. Oh, no. What do you mean get rid of sugar? I don't get rid of any of the food groups. As if sugar is an essential nutrient. As if. That's the way they act. They act like sugar is a food group. You do not need sugar to live. And certainly if you want to live healthy, you do not need sugar to live. It's not an essential nutrient. But if corporations told you, you'd say, hell no, this is too restrictive. I'm not doing this. And you'd be on your way out. On your way out. And they'd essentially go bankrupt. That's simple. So instead, they tell you everything's on the menu. And what's the truth of it? Everything's on the menu because you don't want to talk about the fact that you're addicted to food. So as long as everything's on the menu, I don't have to face that I'm addicted to food. They don't want to talk about substance abuse, the possibility that substance abuse could be food. They don't want to talk about that. Because they think it's cuter to say I have a sweet tooth. They don't want to talk about the fact that they're misusing food as much as someone else misuses alcohol or drugs. They don't want to talk about that. So, WW has to compromise the message because you wouldn't stick around for it. It's part of the reason why I'm not necessarily a popular message. I speak to the people who are ready to hear this message. And everyone else, they'll get there eventually. The corporation won't call food a drug because that would make you a drug addict instead of calling you, because it's so much better. It sounds so much better to call you an emotional eater. But we all have to come to that rock bottom. We all have to eventually face what we're dealing with. But that hitting rock bottom, coming to the end of your own bullshit, is not uncommon to man. It's not just a you thing. It's not just a me thing. It's an everybody thing. So there was a man, and this man had a very close personal relationship with God. And one day, God says to this man, go to this city and tell them that I can see their sin. I can see what they're doing, and my judgment is coming. And this man was prideful. He didn't think this city deserved, because he knew that when God said something, it could bring forgiveness and repentance. And he didn't think that these people deserved it. So his own pride was happy to receive mercy and grace himself. But he didn't think they deserved it. Right? So he knows where the city is that God tells him to go. And out of defiance, he goes in a complete opposite direction. So instead of God saying, well, I'm not going to use him because he took off on me, instead, he turns the mission twofold. Not only is he going to have this same person talk to that city, but he's going to work on this man's pride in the process. So this man, as he's going out of his way to go in the complete opposite direction, he finds himself on a ship, and on this ship, he's surrounded by the very people he doesn't want to go to their city to talk to. He's surrounded by enemies, the people he doesn't like, the people he thinks don't deserve grace, mercy. They don't deserve to be able to repent. He's so much better than them, you see. They don't deserve it. But he's on a boat now, surrounded by them. And the waves are crashing all over the place. It's an enormous storm. And the people on the boat find him asleep. And they say, wake up, you idiot. Pray to your God, because maybe he'll spare our lives. They don't even believe in his God. But they're desperate at this point, and they're telling him to pray to his God and stop sleeping. In the process of all this, they're trying to figure out because they believe that somebody on the ship is not right with whatever God they believe in. Somebody is not right. So somebody is dealing with God's wrath, and because he's with us on this ship, we're all dealing with it. Now, who could it be? And this man says, it's me. I'm the one running away. I'm the one who's in defiance of what I've been told. And he tells them, if you throw me over into the ocean, the waters will calm down. He's fully committed. He knows that in this kind of weather, he's just going to die. And he has so much pride that he's willing to die just not to do and go and help this city like he was told. But God didn't allow the storm to kill this man. Instead, he sank deeper and deeper into the water, and he's counting on death at this point. And a whale swallows him up. And he essentially was alive in the whale for 3 days. And still, in defiance, he's in the belly of a whale, and he still didn't hit rock bottom. He still didn't get to the point, okay, I'll do whatever you need me to do. He still, in defiance, just wanted to die. Until he makes a realization of who he is. Who's he to say who deserves grace and mercy? How is he any better than anybody else with his pride? And at this point, he becomes repentant. And it was at this point that essentially the whale spits him on shore, right where he needs to be. And then God tells him again, go and tell these people. So he went to do it. Now, many of you already know the story. This is the story of Jonah. Now, there are more details, and you can look up the story yourself. But what I want to concentrate on is he was prideful about what he had to do until he hit rock bottom. And then he was willing. How many of you listen to me either started your journey or you're still doing it now, saying, I don't need to track. I don't need to track anything. Forget that. It's unnecessary. We don't need to track. How many of you started that way? How many of you are still that way? How many of you started, and how many are you still not weighing and measuring the food? Oh, I don't need to pull out measuring cups. I don't need to pull out food scales. Who wants to wash all that stuff out after? How many of you started that? And how many of you are still doing it? How many of you just want to complain about, talk about what you can't do? When they're talking about activity, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, and you make a list of the can'ts. But we never talk about what you can do. Because you're too stuck on what you can't do. But the reality is you won't do. That's the proper word. The proper word is won't. Because everybody's capable of something. The question is whether or not you're willing. That's the question. Is that not pride? Is being told to track, weighing and measuring, and moving, and then saying, I don't need those things, is that not pride? And like I said, that was me too. Probably never with the tracking part. I tracked from the beginning. But I told you guys the story many times when my studio coach, Terry, talked about the importance of drinking water. I was so I was in such defiance that on purpose, to prove her wrong, out of spite, I drank a gallon of water a day every day that week after she talked about how important it was. I did that out of spite to prove her wrong. That's how rebellious and prideful I was. The next Saturday, when we're all standing there, me being a man willing to admit when I'm wrong, I tell her what I did. I tell her how I felt about the message of how important it is to drink water. And then on purpose, I made sure I drank a gallon of water every day that week. And I stepped on the scale this week with the full intention to put it in your face to say, see, it didn't do anything for me. I was down almost 7 pounds that week. My defiance proved her right. My pride took a hit. Lesson learned. But even that was not my rock bottom story, right? My rock bottom story, you've heard many times. I have so many examples of pride and hitting rock bottom throughout the last 20 some odd years. But the biggest one is getting to be over 400 pounds for the second time in my life by the age of 40. To be at the top of the mountain, living a life I never imagined, and then to waste 15 years of my life putting myself back essentially where I started. That was the rock bottom moment. I was 460 pounds and I was still not at the rock bottom moment. Can we talk about that for a second? I was still not at the rock bottom moment, even at 460 pounds. I had to lose 183 and then gain back everything but 57. Then I hit rock bottom. Then I was like Jonah in the whale. Willing to do anything. Willing to do anything to save my own life. And still, here and there, the pride comes back. But how many of you are out there right now and you're telling people you're not willing to do this? Well, you're not using the word willing because that sounds bad and nobody talks about themselves that bad. Instead, you make some excuse for why you can't do it. If you're talking to someone like me, I'm going to hear the word won't. Because everybody can do something. Everyone. Nothing will ever change in your life until the pain to remain where you are becomes greater than the pain to change who you are. That is rock bottom. We live in a world where people outright ignore the obvious problems. Being an emotional eater is just something, there's a bunch of emotional eaters. It doesn't make me abnormal. I'm not saying it makes you abnormal. I'm saying it's something that needs to end. It's not just something you keep. It's not something that is just going to be there the rest of your life. It's something that the reason you're an emotional eater has to be dealt with in order to defeat the emotional eating. You don't attack the result. You attack the cause. You being an emotional eater is the cause or the result of some other problem. And you're dealing with that problem in a healthier manner will end the emotional eating. It's the same reason that there are alcoholics. It's the same reason that there are drug addicts. They have coping mechanisms that are trying to fix a problem and rather than face the problem. Anybody addicted to anything has a problem much deeper than the addiction. The addiction is the Band-Aid. It's what makes you comfortable. And the world has normalized that rather than normalize getting to the core of the problem. They rather medicate you, make you feel normal that everybody's on medication of your age. So many women, so many men are dealing with this mental issue now. Let me just give you a couple of pills. Don't worry about nutrition. You keep eating however you want to eat. Nothing changes until the pain to remain where you are becomes greater than the pain to create change. We need to stop living in a world where people are more concerned about how many calories something is or how many points something is, and start worrying about how many chemicals are in the food you eat, because the chemicals in that food are not healthy. They are damaging you in ways, and they have convinced you that whatever the result of that damage is normal for your age. And until we face the truth, nothing ever changes. Nothing. It's up to you in the end. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.